Okay, 4 tips for anyone who has been awake. When I say awake, you'll know what I mean, for quite a long time now and is feeling stuck, maybe frustrated about what they can do in their own lives, frustrated at other people, and 4 kind of solutions to our problem now, and to try to move us away from the problem and toward in a direction where we can start to maybe engender a bit of positive change. So that's what this video is about, and please share it with anybody as well who is also in the same or in a similar position to yourself. So yeah, please note I am talking to myself here as much as anybody else. I mean, I think I woke up fairly early with regard to everything that's been going on in the last year. But you know, I've been hitting obstacles, I've been getting frustrated with other people, and I've been really trying to think quite deeply around, okay, what actually are the frustrations? What are we overcomplicating? How can we move more clearly forward without any unnecessary distractions, any unnecessary negative energy, because there's a lot of negative energy around at the moment. Okay, so number 1 is, I've written down here, have the confidence to say no. I think no is the most powerful word in the English language. It's one of the most powerful concepts that we have. Life and I think a set of morals is determined not just by what we do and what we say yes to, but by what we don't do and what we decide not to do. And I think we're finding that out in the last year or so. So just remember, when it comes to expressing the right to choose, that is our God-given right. Nobody else gives us that choice. We have that choice to choose. But I know that a lot of people seem to be struggling with the concept of saying no, with the idea of saying no to things that they don't want to do, that they know that they shouldn't be doing, that they know that any sane and humane and moral society wouldn't be asking them to do in the first place. And I think it's easy sometimes to overthink things, to overcomplicate things, to ask loads of people for advice on how to say no. Strip it down to its most basic form, simplify it. Just say, I'm not doing it. No, it is completely liberating. Now I understand, and I do completely understand, and I empathize that there are people under pressure from employers, that there are people experiencing very, very difficult situations with family and friends as well, all because they are in a position where they are backing up their convictions, or they're wanting to back up their convictions by refusing to comply with things that they know are wrong. I get that. What I'm saying though is, where possible, where we can just, any opportunities that we've got where we can just say no, don't overthink it. You know, try not to ask everybody else. Just say, I'm not doing it. The worst case scenario that's going to be playing out in your mind probably isn't going to happen anyway, and you will feel liberated. So I think we really, really need to not give any unnecessary negative energy around this decision making that doesn't need to be there. We can overcomplicate something very, very simple. And it is simple saying no. It's not easy, but it's simple. It's simply saying no and not doing it. So that's the first thing. Okay, I've also put down here, and I'm going to do a Facebook post on this video as well, so there'll be a written version of this. Embrace a philosophy, not an ideology. Now this channel, my YouTube channel here, The Imperfect Individual, it's a railing against ideology. Ideologies currently are dividing society, and they're taking us down dangerous paths, and we're in very, very dangerous waters, because too many people are ideological, pursuing these versions of utopia that they think they can get to based on very, very narrow parameters. And that is not how a healthy society operates. A healthy society, one that nurtures concepts such as connection and creativity and things like that, it is one based around ideas and philosophies. Now, those who are pulling the strings, we all know who they are. We think we know who they are. There's a lot of different theories. But what they have successfully managed to do is to manipulate virtually everybody, if not everybody, into manipulate the situation so that all that anybody is focused on, that everybody is focused on and talking about, is COVID. And that's how indoctrination works. Create a topic and encourage people, coerce people to obsess around it. And we have to be careful, those of us who are awake, we have to be careful that we don't fall into the same trap of obsessing around this topic, because there has to be more to life. We have to grow and expand our worlds, not narrow them down by talking about the same problem over and over and over again. And I think it's also important for us to remember that there is no doctrine that we're following. There is no doctrine. It is one based on openness, open-mindedness, on connection and conversation. So take, for example, there may be someone who is rejecting all the rules because they think they're immoral. They might not be wearing the mask. They might be, meeting up with friends and family, and good on them if they are. But they may decide to take the vaccine, for example. Now that's their choice, and we have to respect that. We can try and educate. We can try and give our opinion, but we have to remember that. And we can try and guide them towards what we think is the light. But we have to remember that we're not right. We're not right. There is no right and wrong. I strongly believe this. I think this is a movement that's based around concepts such as personal truth and freedom and values such as that, not right and wrong. I think it's also worth knowing that I don't think there's anybody who's totally awake. I'm certainly not. In fact, I think I'm going to start describing myself as waking up. I don't know a millionth of what there is to know. What is being awake? There's always room for all of us to expand our realm of consciousness and awareness. And maybe we're not as awake as we sometimes like to think we are. And the reason I'm saying that is because I am noticing myself, and I am talking to myself here. I've talked over the last few months more about the problem, and I've focused more on negativity rather than solution and positivity. Is that really being awake? I don't know. Right, okay, so, and maybe if we're going to talk about the problem, let's think about the hows and the whys. Maybe not just encounters, reciting a story with a masked up zombie who bullied us in the street or in a shop, or talking about government policy and how it's going to destroy the world. Try and dig deeper into that. Why are we where we are? What does it say about us as a society? How did we get here? It's all really, really interesting. If we scratch beneath the surface and get into things like psychology of a society and the philosophy of a society, and the kind of like the social change and the effect that the media's had, and all these kind of things, which are really, really interesting, rather than just recounting stories all the time about this has just happened to me and that person said that, and because we know all that now, don't we? So that's number 2. Embrace a philosophy, not an ideology. Okay, number 3 of 4, don't let the zombies waste your time. There are some people who are so deranged beyond belief that they are completely beyond our help. They've been so successfully brainwashed by the propaganda and the indoctrination that they actually have zero capability for processing or entertaining information, contrary to what they've been programmed to believe. They've successfully had their brains rewired, their hearts have been blackened, and their lives have been completely taken over. These are the people who will accost you in shops telling you that you shouldn't, that you should have a mask on, that you don't have a right to breathe fresh air. They don't deserve your time, they don't deserve your energy, and they certainly don't deserve your respect. So I would recommend, this is what I'm doing, don't even entertain them. Don't waste your energy with them, and focus on the people who are still on the fence, the ones who maybe are, there's a lot of people at the moment saying they can see both sides of the equation. I personally think most people who are saying that know what they're doing is wrong, and we need to continue to encourage them and to do all we can to guide them towards, away from the fear and towards positivity and things like hope and optimism. The ones who are completely taken in by it, ones wearing masks outside, ignore them. They're not worth your time or effort, and they're only making up a relatively small percentage as well. They're by no means a significant percentage of those people, in my opinion. And then number 4, I've written down create, don't regurgitate. And I just touched on this before, actually, but We need to think of ways to engender something more positive. So getting away from talking about personal experiences, that's all fine. But if we're doing that every single day, or this is, this example after example after example after example, where we feel maybe that we're being victimized or oppressed, yeah, that's where we're at now. We are there. If you're not complying with the rules, you are in a minority. You're not conforming, and a society that is driven by fear is scared, is terrified, and hates people who don't conform, who are bringing an alternative angle. People who are contrarians, people who are able to think for themselves, are looked upon as a threat by certain sections of the population too. But we get that, don't we? We know that. We know that we're dealing with that. So, try and move away from that, away from the media scare stories and the government policies, and let's begin to cultivate some real ideas. And this is happening. This really is happening. And again, I'm talking to myself here. It's so critical now that for those of us who are quite far along on this journey, if you want to call it that, to enlightenment or whatever you want to call it, that we're the trailblazers for a brave new age. Because what lies ahead, it's a society that does provide a bright new age. At the moment, it's unlikely. At the moment, it's improbable, but it's not impossible. But who are the people who are going to ensure that if there's a chance that it happens, that it does happen? It's people like me and you, and it requires us to harness our positive energy, to not let ourselves be dragged down by the negativity that's out there. Of course, it's going to happen. We're only human, and I know a lot of people, myself included, are going through these energy cycles like this at the moment. It's perfectly natural. We are living in revolutionary times. I think we're living in a period of political, economic, social, health, AI, and media revolution all at the same time. You're going to feel uncertain, you're going to feel unsettled, you're going to feel anxious. But at the same time, as the ones who are ahead of the curve, if you want to call it that, who can see what's going on and can see the dangers that lie ahead, but also the opportunities that may be there, well, they rely on us awakened souls, or ones who are waking up, let's say, to tap into that positive energy. So let's focus on creating whatever it is you want to create. Create some good content, create some good vibes, create some videos, create anything, draw something, anything, draw, paint, create, and definitely ideas, not ideologies, and philosophies, not doctrines, positivity, not negativity. So they're my 4 ideas at the moment for how we can transition away from talking and obsessing about the problem and towards, yes, still keeping the enemy close. Absolutely. We need to ensure we know what the enemy is doing, and sharing information, sharing links, absolutely critical, of course. But I do now believe that should only be a smaller proportion of our time, and a larger proportion does need now to be directed toward the path forward. Okay, so there, I hope that was helpful. And now I know some people won't like what I've said. That's absolutely fine. You might agree with some of it, you might disagree with some of it. I don't mind. Feel free to disagree with me. Feel free to agree with me, but I do hope that at least helps in some part, to some degree, some of you. Like I say, I'm going to put this on Facebook, on my Facebook page as well, if you want to check out the written version, and let me know what you think of those 4 aspects I've discussed. And if you have any ideas yourself, then feel free to leave a comment. All right then, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye.